just eliminate that problem and get those batteries back into service. Because, you know, the big L16s are $250, $300 a pop. And, you know, if you lose that thing, it's supposed to go 8+ years, and some people lose them at 3-4 years because they're just not maintaining them properly. So that definitely helps the car dealers, and that's one of the biggest ones for me. And maybe in the accident here pretty soon.
Oh, really? What kind of battery tech do they use? Is it mainly lead acid, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
They use a lot of AGMs.
What's that?
Absorbed glass mat, the sealed, non-flooded batteries.
Okay. Gels? Are they, no?
Gels and AGM, you know, a lot of people make the assumption that they're the same, but gel is an actual gel electrolyte, and AGM is absorbed glass mat, so it's like a sponge that soaks up the electrolyte.
And is it solid then, rather than?
Yeah, I mean, it's as solid as a sponge holding water.
Doesn't gas when it charges, does it?
It's not supposed to. It can. That's why when you get like inverter or chargers, there's usually a specific setting on it, so your charge voltage doesn't go above like 14.5. Because you can charge a flooded lead acid at 15.5 volts, and it can take it. It's just going to gas. The AGMs, yeah, if you gas those, there's a pressure valve on all AGMs, usually either individual cells or they have a compartment that kind of links them all together that has a pressure valve on it. So if that pressure builds up too high, it won't explode, it'll just expel gas. But if you expel that gas, you can't ever put it back in, so you've lost some of your electrolyte. So
okay.
that's another reason why AGMs can go downhill is that problem.
I remember when I was a kid, my uncle, he's over at Hilco Technology now. They built the levelers. I helped invent them. On the combine.
Levelers for a combine?
Yeah, for combines.
Huh.
So when your combine's like this, you're not sitting like this.
Oh,
You're
interesting.
sitting-
While driving,
Yeah,
so
while
level it up,
driving.
oh, okay.
I remember when I was a kid, he was underneath of his hood, and I was just staying up in my camera. I was doing something under there, and all of a sudden he starts yelling and screaming, and you really hear more like a pop. It's like probably battery acid.
Ooh.
Blew up in his face.
Shoot,
I've had that a couple times.
shoot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
exciting.
It's not exciting. It sounds worse than it is because you'd think it's just like, it's not like hydrochloric acid.
Burn your
It's
flesh
like
off, yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. A couple months ago, I actually got acid in my eye.
Ooh.
That was great.
Were you just not wearing proper face
No,
protection?
no, it was right here. It was on my hat.
What do you mean?
My glasses.
Oh.
They were up here, you know, and
This is after you've been working on it, the acid dripped off?
No, I was
Oh.
just moving batteries. I was, you know, working at the station, you know, went outside to make a phone call or something, put those up there.
Oh, I see.
And then went in to grab some batteries to put it on my rack. And
Without
as soon as
putting-
I set it on the rack, they clapped together, and there was just a bead of acid on the rim, and it just, I saw the thing in slow-mo.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah,
Was your
so-
vision affected, or?
No, I got a,
Right to the eye rinsing station.
yeah, I was at the eye rinsing
Oh.
station within like 3 seconds.
Just gushed it out, wow, good.
Flushed it, and then went to the hospital and spent $500 for them
Tell you you're fine.
to put some goop in my eye and look at it through a little scope.
Now, and this is over at your place, your shop?
Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely wear my glasses all the time.
Good, so you can help us with the safety warning for our product that we're working on.
So what is this product?
Well, let me show you.
Is this the team?
This is the team, yeah.
No, we are the ones that are conceptualizing. We're not necessarily the team.
You're the nucleus. This is the brain trust is right here.
We're gonna let it go to whoever gets it next August to build it.
Okay.
Well, let me, I'll,
Either that or we'll just build it for the money next year. Skate.
now, I think so today's the 1st, and I think the July 30th was the last version that we all touched, right? I had a crack at it on Monday, Adam owned it till Tuesday, Gary owned it till Wednesday, or vice versa. We doctored it up a little bit in class on
And this is just the
Wednesday.
language?
Yeah, yeah. We did a little, we actually did a little bit of experimentation. One thing we're looking at is repurposing phone lines for a dedicated 12-volt DC. And so what we did was,
Like on poles?
no, just locally, just in the house, just in the house. What we're looking for, what we're looking to do, somewhere down here, let me just,
How much power are you?
50 watts. So here's kind of our schematic, and we probably want to put this figure a little close to the top, because when Paul's like, what the heck is this thing? I think you really want to show the reviewer a picture. But what we kind of have here, Andrew, and this is a little cartoonish, but this is a box on wheels, so similar to your solar generator, but smaller. Just single battery, just lead acid in the base, something that can store a substantial amount of energy, and then some kind of like smaller rechargeable that's up here for accessories, something that you wouldn't mind picking up. So the smaller rechargeable might actually sit in the base of a little lantern, some kind of flashlight or some other electronic gadget that you might plug in. Your cell phone, for example, might sit there and charge on this thing. It's got a little deployable solar array, and right at 50 watts is about where we came in. So smaller than what you got, maybe a little larger than the Goal Zero power packs. I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, I mean, it looks like the Goal Zero.
It's a lot like a Goal Zero, but a little bigger. And what we've
They have 30 amp, Group 31 systems, big, I mean, they have.
Little
large
beefier?
units.
Okay.
I don't know which system you're looking at, but I think it's like the 1400 or something.
Okay. That'll be handy, because we're going to need to compare, like, it'd be nice to have some kind of little matrix where, technological, ecological, whatever you want to call it, matrix where our product is sitting inside there. It's smaller than this, more powerful than that, so you might rank it on size, weight, power, portability. So another thing we've been discussing is sizing some wheels appropriately. So if this is sort of the box, imagine this is like a roller board that you might take on an airplane. And in fact, we were just talking about how do you maybe make this whole thing weigh less than 50 pounds, so you can take it on an airplane.
The problem with the airplane thing is once you get to TSA, they won't let you through because they'll scan it and they'll see the battery and they'll think it's gone. I've already tried it.
Oh, really? Was that here in Missoula, or
Yep,
what kind of battery did you
I use
have?
lead acid,
Uh-huh.
but, still you've got,
I've taken cameras, my video cameras too, and I have
that's
to,
a smaller
yeah.
battery that's more consumer relatable. I mean, they
I know.
know what it is.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but if I wanted to make up a bomb, I would make up a bomb out of a watch battery.
Yeah.
And you see, that's the whole point.
Mm.
But anyways,
Yeah.
it's just cutting hairs there.
Yeah.
The thing that he's saying is he's giving you, like the rollerboard that he carries through, he's trying to give you an idea of the size of it.
Yeah.
I had a friend that did 2 years in the Peace Corps, and then run an idea by her. And so we went into College Plus over here, and I picked up both. I said, oh, would you rather pack this? And then I picked up 2 6-volts for this. She goes, oh, definitely I'd rather pack 2 6-volts because it's a little bit lighter, and it didn't have all the, circuits that you have to hook up to.
So we're trying to conceive of some way to put our PV array, and we'll show you that in a second too, put the PV array, charge controller, inverter, battery, kind of all in this box, very similar to what you've already done. Our array this is all still a little garbled, but our array is 32, we ended up with 32 of these 3x6 cells that you can buy from ML Solar.
That's 28.
And I should have brought my new panel.
Oh, this is, yeah.
That's 28.
We were wondering if you'd have any gadgets for us, but it's okay.
Yeah, I can't release it quite yet. But
I know, that's all right.
No, there's a company out there that I'm using, it's called GoPower.
Mm-hmm.
And their panels, they have like a 30 watt, a 50 watt. They're flexible, up to 30 degrees.
Wow.
They are multi-crystalline. They're
Really?
19.2% efficient.
Dang, man.
So that's what I'm using on my newest product.
Nice.
I actually sourced their source, so
Okay.
I'm able to get a way better deal than
What are you paying per watt, do you know?
$1.60.
Okay.
But it depends on how big they go, but it's $1.60, and it also depends on the panel. The 30 watt is $1.60 a watt, the
Mhm.
50 watt is $1.55.
Mm-hmm.
And they go all the way up to nearly, I think they have like 120 watt.
Okay, okay.
So you're talking 30-degree flex, is that between the panels?
No, that's the panel itself.
The panel itself will flex?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. And polycrystalline, that's wild.
Yeah, that's what I was really blown away, because, the panels I put together.
Yeah,
1
yeah.
degree and it pops.
Well, that's kind of what we're going to start out with anyway, just kind of in a lab settings. We were able to get these for 34 cents a watt. It was a...
But you're also trying to build a panel.
Sure, that's right, that's right.
So, have fun.
Yeah. Oh, we will.
We only have to build one of them, and the rest of them will bloom.
Yeah.
They'll bloom.
The construction of the panels I'm using may be something, it's essentially the construction that I was trying to go for when I was doing the solar car panels.
Yeah,
You know how I wanted to laminate the cell?
Yeah.
I wanted to make it super thin. That's exactly what this panel is.
okay, okay. And is each cell in your panel rigid? But
The actual cells flex.
the cells flex themselves, okay.
So, and I may be able to source those cells,
Mm-hmm.
and you can build your own thing.
That'd be fun.
Just so you can get hands-on, but
Yeah.
personally, at $1.60, $1.50,
Yeah,
if this is something that you really want to put together, then I'll, add another bulk order and,
okay.
just the labor, the cells are sourced from Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all constructed in Asia.
Mhm.
This might be a really cool thing I'm working on with this panel is a quick disconnect, because everyone's using the MC4 connector.
Okay, okay.
Which is, the standard, like coaxial connector.
Yep.
It's like a coax cable.
Yep.
Big bulky connector. Well,
Yep.
I'm working on, I'm working on like the standard solar or the standard charger adapter, where it's like a male and a female.
Yeah, right next to each other, yep, mm-hmm.
So I'm working on getting the panel itself built in Asia, because they're building to spec for me.
Oh,
So I could possibly get that connector on the panel, so it's
Oh, I
easy
see.
to
Yeah.
connect to disconnect.
Yeah, yeah.
There's, I'm using a connector from Zamp Solar. So Zamp has the female receptacle that you can, put a hole in your box and flush mount that
oh, okay.
plug.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have one,
Yeah.
2 panels or something,
Ooh.
it's easy to just plug right into there, and then it's hooked up the charge controller.
Okay.
So that might be, an additional solar system, additional panel. How is this panel deployed? Is it on the rigid frame?
Well, yeah, what we had, let me pull up this little PowerPoint.
Sort of a fold-out hinge or whatever, and then also kind of pull that. That's the idea anyways.
There's another company out there that makes a real small portable fan solar system.
That's, I think we saw that one and kind of based ours around that. So there's like one little pivot
Yeah,
point,
yeah, yeah.
and they kind of fan out into this little floor out sort of thing. So this thing itself is about a square foot, and then this thing ends up being about 4 square feet.
You know what I would try to do with that is, if you're using those cells from ML Solar,
Yeah,
you should use a tempered glass front,
okay.
because then it won't flex, and then you won't have
Yeah.
breakage or
Mhm.
self-breakage.
Tempered glass instead of plexi or anything like that, yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Acrylic of some sort.
Yep, yep, yep.
Controls that. Yeah.
Okay.
Acrylic. I would use tempered glass because it's going to be rigid, and, I mean, those ML Solar, those ML cells are
God, I know.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
They're worse than a Pringle chips.
Those little crackers.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I told Wally to barely, don't touch it too much, you're gonna pick it up and you're gonna break it, he, crack. So, I would definitely laminate them onto, glass.
Tempered glass, okay, I like that. And the glass itself,
You could
Well,
frame
if
it.
you
It's gonna need a frame.
flex the glass in, you can break too.
Yeah, but tempered glass is so rigid, and at a square, I mean, you could get away with probably an 1/8" sheet of tempered glass.
Mhm.
Maybe the 3/16.
pop that in a frame.
Because, any of the glass shops will do 1/8" 3/16, and then it goes up to quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Quarter's pretty damn thick.
Yeah, it
Well,
seems a little
I was
beefy.
thinking that you would break the glass before you break is that what the whole theory is?
Yeah.
Break the glass before you break the,
Yeah, but I think the theory also is that if the glass breaks, you're done, like the cells are gonna fracture too. And so you're designing it to the fracture toughness of the
Well,
glass.
and then depending on the tempered glass, like any tempered glass that you get on a real panel,
Mhm.
from Sharp or whatever,
Yeah,
they're gonna have anti-reflective coating on it as well.
Yeah.
So, now you're stepping it up again to get more specific on the tempered glass, and I don't know if a local glass shop's gonna be able to do that.
to do the anti-reflection, yeah, it's a good question.
Because that'll cut down on your efficiency of the cell, depending on, what is the efficiency of those, solar cells?
Well,
I'm remembering like a 15.
yeah, each one of them was coming in at 1.8 watts, and I guess we'd have to, I assume that's at 1,000 watts per square meter, so we could come in and do the math on that to get the
Are the
efficiency.
flexible ones that you're working with available on retail level, or are they?
The panels or the cells?
Would you say it's like panels with a flexible material?
should put a 28 to 32 cell format design.
32 to 28?
Yeah, 20 to 32.
I got 20, you want both?
Well, you could put a 32 on there, it wouldn't be that hard, you wouldn't have your flower shape instead of your.
I was just wondering, are those available to you because you work with this stuff all the time and you got connections? or-
No, I mean,
Did anybody buy them?
I haven't really been, it took me about 2 weeks to get the connection, so,
Okay.
I mean, it's something that you can easily do. The panel itself is super expensive if you buy it from the first guy.
Yeah.
And then you're at like, I think he was trying to sell me the individual panel with controller for $300 or something.
Mm.
And I've got it almost cut in half. So, yeah, but that comes with cables and a bunch of nonsense that you don't need. It comes from a company in Washington.
Okay, so it looks like Paul, we got the thumbs up on Solar Night from Paul Gladen.
Solar night.
Solar Night, and apparently this this name has not been trademarked yet in the United States, so,
Trademarked in China.
Yeah.
China. You know, it's really ridiculous. All the research I've done is bringing me to the fact that there's only a couple manufacturers in this industry.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of them.
Yeah.
And then everyone's putting their damn label on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've sourced a bunch of inverters.
Sure.
And then I found a couple other companies that I really want to work with, and I'm like, you painted it, and it's now a different inverter.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I've been looking at that a little bit too, just talking, I've just been talking with B.D. Erickson a little bit about, how the Asian markets and how it really ends up driving things. Okay,
You should throw a good word over to him.
from you?
Yeah.
Is he waiting to hear from you?
Well, I called him yesterday.
Yeah.
We talked
About what?
The internship.
Oh, okay.
Solder chips.
Yeah.
Solder chips in the basement?
Solder chips in the basement.
Hey, they moved up to the second floor now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like the Jeffersons up there and,
Didn't he sell it?
yeah. But he sold it, but he still operates this thing called Elevate now. And he got all excited. He called me last week, and the guy that he met through this knows the premier of Antigua, and the premier wants to go take the island off grid. And he needs a bid from, we'll see. Okay, let's go.
Micro solar, getting solar system into everyone's house.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it looked like this other company did, but they just had a bunch of lamp posts. Just a bunch of lamp posts with batteries and solar, not in, I'm like, what? I don't think we need more of those.
Mobile
I think it'd be
charging.
more neighborhood.
I know,
Instead
but,
of micro solar
but-
at every house.
Yeah.
You want some sort of backup, because if your power did die, let's say you had a hurricane for 4 or 5 days and your batteries
Mm.
were charged, you want some sort of backup to go to. I mean, if you're gonna hurricane for 4 or 5 days, you're obviously, the wind's gonna blow,
mm,
so you're gonna have that backup. if
Mm.
you had it.
Yeah,
So it
but
wouldn't
there's
be-
not a single wind generator on the market that's gonna handle a hurricane.
But I'm just, in Antigua, I'm saying that you'd want a backup, even if it would be combined cycle gas with that. So you wanted a neighborhood bigger than just your individual grid. You'd want-
And then you could deploy my locker system. If you did a neighborhood setup,
mm-hmm,
you could do the checkout and a way to pay for it, because a lot of third world countries are paying stuff with, quarters or, real low.
yeah. What's the locker system? I'm not sure you told me about that one.
So each locker has its own power plug, either DC or AC.
Okay,
So consumers can walk up, throw their portable electronics in there.
oh, into the locker.
Into the locker.
Okay.
Plug their stuff into the locker, close it up, go do what they need to do.
Oh, I see.
Come back. I mean, they're not gonna sit there and wait.
So you might do that when you go to you might go to Splash and you got a locker there and you plug in and charge your phone up and keep it dry while you're, yeah, okay. So,
Or you've got big panel that's not hooked up to every house, it's just hooked up to a bunch of lockers. And people pay to come down like in like a third world country, they go, instead of waking up and turning on the sink, they gotta get up, go down to the local well and pay to
Turn on, yeah.
the local well, and then they bring it home. So they would take like their rechargeable
Mhm.
equipment down, put it in the locker, lock it up.
cordless drill, what have you, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of people that, are still utilizing power, and they all use phones that are, there's always a cell phone around somewhere. My father-in-law is actually working in Uganda to supply different stuff, different power, different amenities to these families, and he's been working on trying to get, like, I don't know if you've seen the Gravity Light.
Mm-mm.
So it's a real small package. Comes with a bag and a generator and a DC port on it.
Okay,
And So it's a real small shipping package.
Yep.
And once they get there, they just hang it, fill the bag with earth, and then pull it like you would pull a clock.
Oh,
And
yeah?
it works just like that.
Oh, right on, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you pull it back.
Uh-huh.
So it gives you a light and a charging port.
Not bad, I like that. That's super low power, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
But I mean, LEDs, it'll charge a mobile phone with like 5 poles or something.
Nice.
So,
Genius. Okay, so one thing Paul wants to know here is what problem are we solving? What problem are we solving? I think one is lack of electricity in developing countries is one problem.
Originally, we talked about it as making EV portable, bring inside.
Okay. So we can list these. So lack of electricity in developing countries. That's a good one too. Lack of portability of photovoltaic power. Cannot spell it. Power. And I think the third one for the U.S. market is, there's probably some special word for it, but the upfront cost. You know, the idea was to just to introduce the consumer to a small photovoltaic system without having to bite the bullet on the huge array. So,
you know where I'm going.
yeah, what's
Small scale power systems.
yeah. My mom. My mom calls me she calls me every Friday because it's Science Friday on NPR, and I usually have to tell her, sorry, Mom, I can't talk, I'm actually doing science right now. Let's just say high initial capital.
You could say something entry level.
Yeah, so the problems we're solving are lack of electricity, lack of portability, and high capital costs. So we're putting electricity where there wasn't before, making it more portable, and and this is mainly for the U.S. market, avoiding the high cap. So these are the problems.
Well, if you're avoiding the high initial capital cost, you're doing it for the developing countries too. Because that's one of the problems. There's not a lot of money, because it's not a lot of money. to develop.
Still a pretty high capital cost per unit though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we might sell this thing for, I don't know, $500-600 in the U.S. market. And one thing we were also talking about is doing a 1-for-2,
International.
yeah, where an American consumer buys one at full price and somebody else gets one. Okay, so a simple illustration of the finished solar night would be helpful. Yeah, so I think we need to put in a, is this,
I'm building this system at a smaller scale than what, I'm building this system.
yeah, it's funny because we kept, I'm like, wait, Andrew McChain is already building this. So that's fine. That's actually quite good. All right, so what do we need to do? We need to put a, can we have figures in the abstract? you know?
You got 2 pages of abstract, you wanna put figures?
Does it say anything that you can't?
Quarters of a page of figures, no.
Well-
You're gonna have to lose a lot of your abstract.
Maybe we just have one little small cartoon.
Either that, or you put it up right before your letter of intent.
If it's allowed. Now, is this, are we still in the abstract right here? We are.
You're all in the abstract, page 1 and 2 is abstract, so you see how much, and most of the abstract you wrote, I just,
Yeah, well, there's a lot of dead space in there. All right, let's
What
just,
are you putting all this together for?
oh, sorry, yeah, there's, the environmental
I'm
protection.
not doing any of this, I'm just building it.
So, the Environmental Protection Agency has an annual competition, student competition, and they call it P3, People, Prosperity, and Planet. And so what you do, there's 2 phases. The first phase, you put in a proposal, which we're drafting right now. It's 2 pages of abstract, 12 pages of narrative, budget, the whole deal. And it's then evaluated by a committee. It's due in the fall, and then they'll announce the awards in the spring, winter. I think they announce the awards like in the winter. And if you get it, they send you 10 to 15, well, 5 to 15 grand, whatever you ask for, and then you're on the hook to build the thing by spring. And if you get one of these things, you're on the hook to build it by spring and bring it to the mall in Washington DC, where you then compete for round 2 funding. And if you get that, it's 90 grand to deploy it, to actually, put your
Build a
manufacturing, yes, you'll show up in DC with your 1 or 2 mock-ups, and they're like, holy crap, that thing's awesome, here's 90 grand, go save the world.
so we'll put this in this fall, I don't know, is it October?
October.
October's the deadline to put this in. If we accepted our initial business phase will start next August 15th, and it will go through August 15th of 2015 through August 15th of 2016.
It's about a year,
And then
right.
the spring of 2017, we'll take it to DC basically, and if they like it, they'll say, okay, yeah, build it.
I think it's quicker than that.
Yeah, that seems like a really long process.
Is it that much longer?
Seems like a lot of time for someone to come in and build it. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of,
I mean, is this something that's, in the production phase, in the second round, is this like your patented item and?
the second round is full-scale manufacturing, so you get $90,000 to set up your warehouse, put your equipment in it, bring your employees in it, start manufacturing this wholesale for sell on the market to Johnny Walmart or.
Is this patenting? Are you going through patent process?
We haven't really we haven't really dug into it.
Yeah, like,
Yeah. Sounds like we get a trademark on it at least. We already looked at that. Okay, so simple illustration. So,
I wasn't enthused about the time period.
It seems really long. It seems like that's a lot of time to slack.
It is a weird time frame,
A whole year?
yeah. I'm not sure why that is.
I mean, maybe because it's operating on school time frames.
well,
Well, I mean,
It
it's,
seems,
that's your operational period. You probably could tell them, look, in December, you get a hold of them and say, look, I've got it done, can I get into this expo trade show as opposed to next year? You probably can do that, but the actual lettering of the application process says you have from August of the following year to August of the next year to after submission. So either way, if we submit this in fall, we won't be told that we get the application until like summer the next year. That's the way the business works. That's the way the politicians work. What's Reeve got going on?
nothing.
Nothing, is he still crying over his broken collarbone and he can't type? Is he?
I don't know.
I broke my collarbone, I'm not gonna be able to type, you're gonna have to do everything from now on.
Just talk to text.
I had none whatsoever sympathy for him. I did everything, but I still had no sympathy, because I had to, because if I wasn't, he was just gonna keep crying.
Oh, yeah, so here we go. So, your 15,000, is for phase one. Proposals for phase one grants must be for only 1 year. So we'll submit it we'll submit it October 2014, and we basically get a year to spend it.
But it won't be recognized until August.
And you get 2 years to spend your 90K. So here, they're gonna give 45 awards for phase one, that's pretty good. 10 awards for phase two, so, we might be one of 45 that gets selected.
Yeah, but, you can come in next year and be done with it, but.
I don't know, I just got my NSF, it took me 4 years to get it. I put it in, it's a 3-year, it's. Okay, so that's that. So I think we should put a little, I'm just gonna put this in as a space holder.
Tell you right now, if you want to go to lithium, you're gonna have to go higher than $500.
Well, what we had here, Andrew, let me show you, our other,
The battery pack itself is lead acid. But you'll be able to plug the lithium into it. So that's.
You want the small lithium affordability.
what we were thinking here is that, this thing sits outside, with the PV on top, and then coming in through the house, you've got your lithium ion maybe sitting inside the house, and that can be used to power more things inside the house. Like if your portable,
You put lead acid inside, because you're not gonna move it. You put lithium outside, because you're gonna move it.
well, we went back and forth on that a little bit. Yeah.
The cost for a large lithium system,
Mm-hmm,
I mean, the reason you're gonna use lithium is because you're gonna want it portable.
yeah,
Unless you're going, room full.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, most of the systems that I work on that are rooms of batteries are lead acid.
Yep.
I've seen a couple nickels, but, I mean.
well, we're going back and forth because you got the price versus the mobility issue too. We were kind of thinking if this thing's gonna get deployed, in the bush somewhere, giving these guys a bunch of lithiums might not be the best. So maybe the thing needs to have both, either have.
Well, the stationary needs to be lead acid.
Okay.
The mobile,
Maybe the mobile has an option, it's one or the other.
I had this idea of like create a little microgrid in your house, and you can put multiple units inside that are charged and sort of working together and power this microgrid. It's kind of an offshoot of the idea.
microgrid being easy
Low
microgrid.
voltage.
Yeah.
You're just gonna spend a lot of money on a stationary lithium when you get lead acid for a quarter of the cost.
So these should swap,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, let's say 100 amp hour lead acid is 60 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
100 amp hour lithium
Mm-hmm.
is probably 25.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you basically did that that was one of your dysfunctions.
Right.
Well, no, you just, when you were putting that together, said, okay, we'll put the lead acid here and lithium here, and I was like, did I explain that right?
Well, I guess,
I don't know if I ate enough that morning, or I just didn't want to.
the way I remember the
It
conversation
worked.
is
I
that,
said put the lithiums outside because, or put the lithiums in the ones that you would want to sell to like the commercial people that are novelty that already can turn their lights on.
mhm.
Because my theory was that you don't have to have the constant charge in lithium. It'll gain the charge better.
the way I remember it though,
Discharge.
is that there's probably already a bunch of old lead acid batteries laying around in these developing countries. They just plug and play and go with that. Too bad that it's a little heavy. I don't know.
I mean,
It's an issue,
There's more lead acid in developing countries than lithium.
I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. That's where my company was founded, in third world countries where there was literally stacks, piles, mountains
Yeah.
of big-ass batteries
Yeah.
that people were done with because they're utilizing solar chargers.
Mhm.
And, you know, if a lead acid stays at 80% charge for its whole life, it's gonna fall off a lot faster than the lithium. Lithium, you can discharge, leave discharge, you know, recharge, and they're still gonna have the same capacity, whereas, you know, if you're trying to recharge that lead acid, after it's sat, it's not gonna take charge as well. You know, my company came in and, supplied the Probat to these lead acid batteries. We got this mountain, you know, took about 70% of that mountain and turned it into real good batteries.
Okay.
So there are lead acid batteries over there.
Yeah.
Lithiums are also going to be more, they're going to be a harder system to or recycle.
Yeah.
You know, they probably have, or there's a closer smelter to you know, redo your lead acid battery than, you know, doing anything with a lithium battery besides throwing them in the dump.
Conditioning your cathodes.
So I'm just gonna put this in as a little placeholder. We'll have to redo it, but,
So you making a product for like just everyday consumer?
Yeah.
Just try to tell the people in Zoom, or?
Well, I'm actually trying to go for like the Forest Service, and
Okay.
fleet operators, and
Okay.
construction crews, party
Okay,
goers.
see where he's read that? A simple illustration of the finished solar night is charging and usage modes would be helpful, not the component figures you have later.
yeah, I'm putting this in as a placeholder. Here we go.
Why don't you just take a picture of, well, I guess I could Photoshop everything together for you. That'd be quick. Take a picture of the suitcase with a, put a Photoshop array on it.
You guys seen anything with the Solman generator?
Huh.
It's kind of where I based my first solar generator on. Solman, they have a couple different ones. They have an Action Packer now, which is essentially just a cooler that has a couple batteries
Mm-hmm.
and an inverter on top of it.
Okay.
With wheels. Yeah, like Goal Zero. The Goal Zero is pretty much this. It just doesn't have the. Is your solar array going to be mounted to the system, or is it going to be deployable away from the pack?
Well, right now, I think we just kind of envision it sitting on top of the system, but,
If it's doing that, you also have to think about. I mean,
yep.
because I mean, putting it kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we hadn't really worked that detail out.
I mean, the Goal Zero system is a box, and they either have a 20 amp hour, a 30 amp hour, or a 100 amp hour battery in it. I think they do have a lithium system as well, but then you're going from like the $1,400 cost to a $3,000 cost.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a solar package that just unfolds, and then you know, set it down. It comes with some brackets to give a little angle to it.
3 tires as opposed to 2.
Or just, you know, do like the truck camper extensions. So, you know, you stick a 2-inch metal into there, it's 2-inch bar, and it comes down with a jack. You know?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
If they were putting in a power pull in, that big ass truck comes out and puts its legs
Sure,
down.
yep.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Like a little tripod thing would be nice. Maybe if if we look at this,
'Cause you can do a lot with just even, you know, 2 wheels up front and
Yeah.
a bar that come off the back.
sure, yeah, I like that. Maybe this whole thing rotates flat, and the PV sits on top.
So there's another company out there that makes a trailer
Yeah,
that does just that.
Huh.
It hooks down, you know, it's got a real good balance point.
yeah,
And it hooks up to your trailer, you can drive down the road, and when you're ready to deploy it, all you do is unhook it and then fold it.
oh, nice,
Leans forward.
okay. But some kind of kickstand, either up here or over here, so that so it's got more stability, okay. All right, so we got the battery worked out a little bit, sounds like, I'm still a little torn about about selection in terms of, yeah, just get a lithium ion in this thing, or can you have the lead acid option?
You always have to have a lead acid option.
Yeah, I guess so,
Because-
yeah.
Just because there's gonna be people that are like trying to pinch the pennies.
Yeah,
And if they're just, you know, oh, well, I just have to cut a little power and, you know, use a little bit more muscle.
What's the difference between a charge controller?
Just voltage output and the,
You can use the same charge controller
For lithium?
So you can flip switch lithium
yeah. Most of the charge controllers out there are not gonna be designed for lithium. But utilizing the BMS within the lithium battery, you can supply a certain voltage to it, which, you know, may be that 15 volts that a lead acid, because, I mean, depending on the chemistry of the lithium you're using, you're gonna have a specific nominal voltage. And you'll have to have, I mean, the standard sealed lead acid voltage 15.5 cutoff, that would probably be just fine for your lithium system, because the BMS in the lithium battery will manage that as well. So,
Yeah, see, because that was one of our arguments, was you said you'd have to have a different charge controller for lithium as opposed to lead acid. And if you had that charge controller, so you could like have a switch in it, just open it up and flip the switch.
well, see, and most of them have 3 dip switches. You know, they'll have your flooded, your lead acid, or your flooded, your AGM, or your gel, because, you know, they'll all have a little bit different. You can charge a flooded at 15.5. You can't charge an AGM or a gel past 14.5. And gels, sometimes they'll cut it off at like 14.2.
I think you were trying to get all 3 Ps in here, weren't you?
Yeah.
Market-based technology will be used to aid the people who utilize this technology.
What was the middle?
There's people, prosperity, and planet. So let's just say to aid the people who utilize this technology to prosper via, I mean, really, having a flashlight should allow you to prosper in some way, right? Having a cordless drill should allow you to prosper in some way. Prosper via
Shovel helped us,
the shovel.
just simple shovel.
Yeah.
We could whack things over the head then, they wouldn't kill us.
And bury the hole.
And bury them. We didn't have the cheap technology at that time, but shovel and shut up. Whack them over the head with the shovel and cut them apart and eat their appendages.
Without the green,
Via through,
I don't know, I'm still, without the.
I'm not very good at this stuff.
That's all right.
Maybe I should take some lessons.
Other people utilize this technology
Prosper and self-reliance.
to prosper through self-generated electricity without exposing at prolonged emissions to the planetary atmosphere.
You seen the BioLite oven, BioLite stove?
Is it, I think so.
They have the little campers.
Yep.
They have a little camper stove, and then they have like the full-on home unit.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that one yet.
You know, they can just go collect sticks and, you know, be able to charge all their electronics and cook with it too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Let's just try this. Market-based technology we use to aid the people who utilize this technology to prosper. I mean, one of those words, prosper,
Just take it out.
you don't like the, I don't either.
People, prosperity, and humanity.
Prosper through the technologies that the solar night enables. While, without the greenhouse gases, while,
Emissions. You're still gonna get emissions though, that's why I was saying prolonged emissions.
minimizing emissions.
I mean, the embodied energy in these things is kind of ridiculous.
I know it is, isn't it? We did it for PV cells on a, on a per mass basis, and it's giant compared to glass, aluminum, some of those other things you think would be, fairly energy intense.
Yeah, like, the Prius is kind of a joke.
Mm.
You know, my 70 Camaro is gonna be more green than, a Prius is.
Not if you drive that Prius for 100 years.
Yeah, but tell me, what hybrid vehicle is gonna go more than 30,000 without having to swap out those batteries?
Oh, there's gonna be some
That
issues.
Batteries are the initial product, the lithium, has
Yeah.
to be dug out the ground somewhere.
Yep.
Then they ship it to the manufacturing plant, then they get pure lithium, and they have to send it to this plant.
Yep.
Travels the world, one battery travels the world 3 times before it even hits the show floor.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of scary, but I mean, once we get over that hump of extracting so much that we'll just be able to recycle it enough to bring it in the body down.
Let's do something like that. So we got all 3 in there. Should we should put some kind of quantitative statement in here, I think, too. Just we just talked about the fact that, okay, there's embodied energy here, so we should be able to, compare the emissions of our system with running a diesel generator, for example. That's kind of who we're, so quantify CO2 emissions versus diesel generator. So that's a little to-do there. Contributions, we need to quantify that, okay. All right, so that's good. Letter of intent, let's see what else Paul has in here. He might have just hit the abstract. I don't see anything else. I think he just kind of read through the abstract. Well, that's good.
helping me with my newest, latest and greatest thing. So it's pretty cool, you know, I get access to a half an hour with a attorney every other week and financial advisor.
Oh, does Blackstone help with the legal too?
Well, they let me talk to they bring in a legal advisor, attorney to talk, and we can set up a half an hour meeting with them.
Sweet.
So, yeah, I mean, they're helping, that's for sure. They definitely speedballed my process.
Good, man.
So, yeah, I mean, it helped me sort what's going on here onto a piece of paper so I can, you know,
Yeah,
follow something. And so it's definitely helped me quite a bit, for sure. Paul's good job.
yeah. Good, glad.
One thing is a good resource over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me see if my little header things worked or not. Guys, where's insert table of contents? Change this thing all the time. References. There we go. Insert table of contents. Hey, like that.
References are on page 12.
Yeah.
The big thing I've been concerned about with my unit is national electric codes.
Oh, really? What? And what? How so?
Well, mainly just so I don't have anyone coming at me saying I didn't wire it right.
We've been digging through the code fairly extensively here. We've referenced it a few times. One of our big hangups was the trying to repurpose the phone cord. And you know, we found it once. We haven't been able to re-find it, but there's something in there saying you cannot use a signal cable for a power cord. It just flat out says that.
Well, one, it's going to be a solid core wire,
Yep.
and DT doesn't like solid core, it's just stranded.
Mm-hmm.
Just because DC rides on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have just a solid, you only have that much surface
Mhm.
area, whereas AC runs through the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's real small. Real
Well,
small.
we
And then if you don't disconnect it from.
You already have the AC converter in there.
You don't disconnect it, what? Oh, from the, oh, yeah. Yeah, then you're in big trouble, absolutely.
Someone's gonna be pissed. But,
So we pumped 50 watts through it. We just hooked it up to a dump load, pushed 50 watts through and took temperature data. And it got warm, but it didn't cook. I mean, we sat there for 20 minutes with
you have to
50 watts.
assume that the consumer is gonna go way above and beyond what they're supposed to.
Well, we do, and so it's got to have a fuse. I mean, if you're pushing more than, what we say, 4 amps at 12 volts,
Another thing is, in-home wiring, you know, their connection from, you know, your side to somewhere else in the line
Mhm.
may not be perfect, which adds resistance, which adds heat,
Mhm.
which adds fire hazard.
Yep.
So,
That's exactly what I was thinking about when we were doing all that.
And an NEC is NEC is NFPA 70. NEC is a subset of the National Fire Protection Code. So absolutely, yeah.
Kind of started out with this idea of so much unused analog phones